Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Bearded Gentleman. On today's episode, I'm going to show you guys how to make an awesome homemade macaroni and cheese. You can use it as a main course, as I'm going to show you here tonight, or you can also make it as a side dish if you're going to a larger family gathering, such as Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is a great side dish to go with a larger meal. So let's have some fun, and I'll show you guys how to make it. Alright guys, I have to apologize. It looks like I lost all my audio for these video clips. So here's all of the ingredients that I'm using here for this meal. I've got a third of a cup of all-purpose flour. I've got some chipotle chili pepper. I've got some garlic powder. And here's my cheese for my cheese sauce. I've got almost an entire 16-ounce package of Sharp Cheddar cheese. You don't have to use Sharp Cheddar if you'd prefer a different type of cheese. Definitely go ahead and use that. I just personally really like Sharp Cheddar. I also threw in some Monterey Jack as well. I've got 3 cups of milk. I've got some penne pasta. Those are my noodles. And I've got some beef smoked sausage, which is the meat that I'm going to be putting into this to use it as my main course for my dinner. Alright guys, so here we're going to start off with the roux for the cheese sauce. Now to do this you're going to use half a stick of butter. I do definitely recommend you use real butter for this. It is possible to use margarine, or if you use like the Imperial or Blue Bonnet sticks, you can use that, but real butter works a lot better for this. As it melts down, it has a lot better consistency. With margarine, you actually have a lot of it that'll actually basically burn off, and you don't want that. You want it to melt down but not burn off completely. So let's put our half a stick of butter in the pan here, and we're going to put some heat to this, and we're going to melt this down until it's completely melted down, and then we're going to add in our flour and get our roux going. So we're going to add in that third of a cup of flour. Now, have your whisk ready to go when you do this. You want to whisk it in immediately. You don't want this to get clumpy at all. You want this to kind of have a real creamy consistency. So get the flour in and get your whisk and immediately whisk all that flour into that butter. This is where you'll have the big difference on whether you use butter or you use margarine. Every time I've used margarine, this step right here, everything always seems to be very clumpy. The flour doesn't really meld into the butter very well. But by using real butter, you'll see how it's real creamy and it's kind of all melting together really well. So you want to cook this for maybe a minute or so, just kind of get that doughy kind of flavor out of it. You kind of want to cook the flour a little bit. So just keep whisking. You don't want to let this burn. Keep whisking, and our next step is going to be adding in the milk. Alright, now that the flour and the butter have kind of melded together here, now we're going to go ahead and add in our milk. Now you want to definitely be whisking as you do this. This keeps it from clumping up. So add in your milk here. You'll notice that I'm using a silicone whisk. I've pretty much eliminated all of my metal objects from my kitchen here. I've just had problems with scratching the hell out of my pots and pans with metal whisks and things like that. So use the silicone whisk. Make sure you really get on the bottom good, get around the edges to make sure you don't have any clumps that are going to cause you problems later. So we're going to add in the rest of the milk here. And once you put all the milk in, kind of stir it some, and you're going to bring this not necessarily to a full boil, but it's really going to thicken up. That's going to determine really how thick your cheese sauce is. So go ahead and bring this up to a simmer, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so as you can see here, that sauce is really thickened up nicely. So this is what you want. This is more of like a thick soup consistency. It started off as more of a milky, runny consistency. This is really thickened up nicely. So that's what you want. At this point, you really don't want to boil this exactly, but this has really turned out really, really well. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in our spices that are going into the sauce. Add it in here while everything's still in a liquid state. Before you put in all of your cheese, go ahead and put that in now. So here I've got essentially a half a teaspoon of chipotle chili pepper, and I've also got about a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder. So as you can see here, if you guys saw my small kitchen organization videos, these small little bowls, you can get them at the dollar store. I got these at, I think, World Market or Pier 1 Imports, I can't remember. Use these little bowls. They work really, really well for getting your ingredients ready to go ahead of time. So instead of trying to measure things out here while I'm cooking, it was already in the bowl ready to go. So go ahead and put all your seasonings in here. Go ahead and give it a good whisk. You're going to mix the seasonings well into the mixture here. You'll see the color of it really kind of darken up, kind of turn a reddish color thanks to that chipotle chili pepper. Alright, so we got the seasoning mixed in. You can see it's kind of at a low simmer. We're going to go ahead and take this off the heat. Now go ahead and turn off your burner, and we're going to go ahead and add in the cheese now. So I've got all the cheese ready to go. The best way to do this is actually on a soft cutting board that you can kind of fold, and as you can see here, I did spill a little bit. It was a little difficult to try and get this all into my sauce pot here. But go ahead and get all the cheese into the sauce here. You'll mix it up until all the cheese is all melted, and that is your cheese sauce completed. Alright, so the cheese is melting really nicely into the sauce mixture here. Mix it all together really well. Give it a good couple of whisks. Make sure you don't have any clumps of cheese. It should melt down really nicely. Given how hot that sauce is, it should melt down really nicely into your cheese sauce here. Now, the next step, we're going to go ahead and fry up the smoked sausage. Also get your pot of water on and start getting your water heated up to cook your penne noodles. Get that going here, because that water usually takes a few minutes to get ready to get boiling. Alright, so get your skillet out here. The cheese sauce is off to the side now, and squirt some olive oil in here to fry up your sausage. There's different types of sausage you can use. I personally like using beef smoked sausage. If you want something with different flavor, you can basically put whatever you want in here. I took that beef smoked sausage and I sliced it up into basically little discs, as you can see here, thin little slices essentially. I cut them up like that because it spreads through the dish a lot better. That way you have a lot better chance of pretty much every bite having some sausage in it. If I did larger pieces, then I might have 2 or 3 bites of mac and cheese and 1 bite with sausage. But cut those up into the small discs like that. Let's get the oil heated up, and we're going to get ready to fry the sausage. Alright, so the oil's nice and hot. Let's go ahead and grab that sausage and go ahead and put it into the pan here. Now, do be careful, because if the oil is really hot, this might splatter a little bit on you. But go ahead and get that sausage into the pan, and let's go ahead and get it browned up. Alright, so the sausage is frying up really well. We got our water over here. It's boiling and ready for the noodles. So every so often you want to take the sausage and kind of flip it a little bit here. You don't want to burn it by any means. You don't want to get it too dark. Just kind of flip it so that you get all the sides nice and browned. Go ahead and take your penne noodles here, and we're going to put those into the water. Now, for normal al dente penne noodles, you're going to cook these for about 11 minutes. We don't want them all the way al dente because we're going to finish this in the oven. So we're only going to cook these for about 8 to 8.5 minutes. And then we're going to pull them out, and that way once it's finished up in the oven, the noodles will be just about perfect. So get the noodles into the water here. One trick to keep them from sticking is stir them immediately. Don't let them sit there or else they'll get stuck together and everything. But stir them up immediately, and then after about another minute or so, go ahead and give them another stir. And that's usually what I find really helps to keep noodles from sticking together. Paper towel, because they do tend to get a little bit greasy. So you don't want a lot of grease going into this. Put them on a paper towel and kind of soak up some of that grease a little bit. The noodles are done. We're going to go ahead and take the noodles on over to the stove, over to the strainer, and get those strained out nicely. Make sure you strain as much water as you can out of these. You don't want water getting into your mac and cheese and making it runny. Alright, so the noodles have been strained. Go ahead and give those a quick stir so they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. Make sure your oven is on to 350 degrees. That's the next step we're going to be at here. We're just about done with the top of the stove preparation for this meal. Go ahead and get your cheese sauce mixed into the noodles here. Grab your whisk and make sure you don't have any cheese that is deciding to try and not join the party. You want all that cheese in there. You put a lot of work into this cheese. Don't let that cheese hang out in that pot and then get washed down the drain. Make sure you get all that cheese on out of there. And now the cheese sauce is all in, go ahead and mix all that sauce down into the noodles. Make sure that it all kind of becomes incorporated. Grab that rogue noodle that tried to escape and get everything all mixed together here. And the final thing to mix in here is that sausage. Like I said, I had it on a paper towel, kind of get some of the grease out of it, and get the sausage into it, and get that all mixed in, and then we're ready to move on to the final step here before we go into the oven. This is what we're going to be using to put this into the oven. Now I have sprayed it with some non-stick spray, that way it doesn't stick to the bottom and it comes out really nicely. So have your 8.5 by 11 ready. Go ahead and grab your oven mitts because this pot is still very, very hot. And we're going to just pour the entire mixture all into the casserole dish right here. Alright, now that you've got it all into the casserole dish, go ahead and just use your spoon here and go ahead and spread it all out. Make sure it's all nice and even. You don't want it all sitting in the middle. Spread it out nicely. That'll help it bake in the oven much better. So what we're going to do for the topping here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some more of that chipotle chili pepper. This stuff, I absolutely love the flavor of this stuff. It's got a real nice smoky flavor to it. It is a little bit on the spicy side, but in a different way. It's got a real smoky flavor. It's not like chili powder or it's not like cayenne pepper. The flavor of it is really, really good. And then here is the secret ingredient. This is a cheese that is called Gruyere cheese. This is a little bit of an expensive cheese. This cheese is anywhere between $5 to $10 for a small half-pound container of it. So I went ahead and I grabbed a block of it. I shredded it up myself. We're going to go ahead and take some of that Gruyere cheese and we're going to spread it all across the top here. And the final topping going on top here is going to be some Italian breadcrumbs. This helps give it a nice little crust on top once it's done in the oven. Speaking of the oven, that's the next step. We're going to go ahead and put this into that 350 degree oven and we're going to leave it in for about 30 to 40 minutes. Alright, it's been in the oven for about 30 minutes now. It's go ahead and time to pull it on out here and take a look. So here we go. Check that out, guys. It's bubbling, it's sizzling, it's oozing, it's macaroni and cheese. I've got some garlic bread I'm going to go ahead and throw on into the oven here for a few minutes while I let this macaroni and cheese cool off, and then we'll be ready to plate this on up. Alright, here we go. We've let that garlic bread cook for a few minutes. Gone ahead and pulled that out of the oven. The macaroni and cheese is cooled off here, so it's ready to slice up and put on the plate. So get your plate ready to go here. Grab your spatula. Get yourself a nice piece of, nice chunk of macaroni and cheese. This is by no means health food, and I don't care. It's delicious, and that's what matters. So grab yourself a nice little portion here. This is what's awesome about having this as the main course of a meal. So go ahead and just get that on the plate. There's your dinner. Don't let that sausage get away. Make sure that it comes with. Grab that. Go ahead and grab your garlic bread. And you're ready to eat dinner. Alright guys, so we got it all plated up here. As you can see, this is a great main course. With having the meat in here, it really works really well. I've got a piece of garlic bread here on the side. I've got a side salad over here that I'm going to have go with it. It was a great meal. As I've mentioned before, you can use this as a side dish. This would be really good, especially at Christmas. It goes great next to a good ham, good like honey glazed ham or something. This is a great side dish to go with that. Or you can throw the meat in like I did here, and you've got a main course. Either way, it's a really, really good meal. Let's go ahead and give this a taste here. Get a couple of the noodles, and get one of the sausage pieces. Oh yeah. The cheese is amazing. The cheese sauce. That sharp cheddar cheese, you got a bite to it. Sorry, finished chewing here. That sharp cheddar cheese has a really nice bite to it. Monterey Jack goes really well. That Gruyere cheese, it's a really strong cheese. It's really, really good. The chipotle chili powder gives it some heat, gives it some spice. That turns out really good as well. So I cannot recommend enough. Try this, make this. It's not overly difficult. You don't need a huge kitchen to do it. Definitely recommend make this. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down button and tell me why in the comments. I promise I won't be too offended. If you guys want to see more videos like this, feel free to let me know, and I'll keep making them. In the meantime, enjoy yourselves a great evening. Have a good meal, and thank you very much for joining me today on The Bearded Gentleman.